Welcome back to the shop. My previous video on the valve kind of ended abruptly, so I wasn't able to finish up talking about the valve in a little bit more detail. This is the valve right here that I actually was working on and finished. I'm not happy with it for a number of reasons. Number one, the finish kind of stinks on it. As you can see, I had to Scotch-Brite the top to get that thing off of there. One thing that is an absolute must on these things when you're parting them off is that you have to lock the carriage, because if you don't, you get a dome shape on them, and that kind of ruins the whole deal. But I did get the angle right. The angle's right here. This little platform that you see down in here, that's correct. And also this dimension here, 15 thousandths, that's correct. And these guys here are roughly correct. This is a little bit oversized, so I'm going to have to buff it down. Now this right here is a valve that I actually did earlier before I shot the video. And as far as I'm concerned, I think it's the perfect valve in so many ways. It's got all the right correct dimensions. It's got a beautiful, beautiful head on it. I mean, it was machined and parted perfectly. Everything came together, everything worked out really well, and I'm extremely happy with it. Now, what I machined actually some time ago prior to doing this were the valve seats. And of course there's 18 of these. Now these are all made out of aluminum bronze, and they're supposed to be 469 thousandths in diameter. And that doesn't, it's supposed to be a press fit because the requirement is for a 468 thousandths diameter hole that you're supposed to machine with the counterbore into the head of the cylinder head. And it doesn't, a 468 thousandths counterbore, especially the one we got from MSC, which is the one that the Hodgson people recommend, it actually bores out 474 thousandths. So what we had to do is to make these all like 475 thousandths or in that vicinity for a press fit. And we figured that out by, kind of testing this whole thing out with a cylinder that we've gotten pretty much finished here. And this is one that we machined to 475 thousandths. And it's about a 473 or 474 thousandths hole. We couldn't quite figure it out, but it did press fit in there beautifully. So, and it's a little bit difficult to figure out what he's talking about when he talks about how you make all these things. But anybody that's working on it will figure it out. And this valve here, the one that I keep claiming to be the perfect valve, so we'll get it in the camera here, fits beautifully into here. I mean, just beautifully. And it's going to have to be lapped in. They're all going to have to be lapped in. There just isn't any way out of doing it. And you lap them in so that you won't have any leakage, air leakage. And this one here, it fits kind of tight. Very tight. I can't get it all the way in actually, so it's going to have to be buffed down a little bit so we can get it in there. But well, this is tool CH6, by the way. That is one of the tools that they ask you to make, and I made most of the tools before, and about 4 or 5 years ago, before I started machining all of this stuff. And so all this does is it holds the cylinder head, as you can see, at a perfect angle for that valve, so that you can drill the hole perfectly perpendicular to the plane of the valve head. And then when you want to do the other one, you just, loosen this and put this other valve tower in there in order to get that down to the dimension that you want. So, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, this is the perfect valve. I've never ever machined a better looking or, more perfect valve in my life. And I've done all 18 of them already. And you try to hit these things right on the mark if you possibly can. And it's difficult to do because the requirement for the valves is stainless steel. And that's so that they can take the heat and have some longevity. But stainless steel is difficult to machine unless you're really going at high speeds. And this one I did at high speed. And that's why it turned out so beautiful. Well, I just needed to do this as an addendum to the prior video because it shut off. I don't know if it came to the end of the disc or what it did, but it just shut off before it should, and so I wasn't able to talk about it any further. So until the next video, I bid you adieu.